Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world-changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, to create massive awakened impact for millions of souls around the planet, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman. Hey, so we're live. So grateful to be here with you all. Hello. Yeah, we're doing this podcast today is live as well. So glad to, this is so exciting to me to have you on, Jim. We've known each other for years, and you're one of the few people I've actually done like a whole training simply on even just the one-to-one sales conversation. So that goes to show that I really respect you so much and the work you do. So glad to have you.
Thanks so much for having me here. I really appreciate that time to just be able to talk and serve some people.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, I've been telling people about you, and we do have some people lined up with questions and everything today. So let's dive right in. I'm going to tell them a little bit about you. So Jim is the founder of Gain the Edge. He's known in the personal development and business coaching world as the go-to guy for all things sales. I'm going to hit some of the highlights of his background. Listen, his company, his team averages 25,000 sales conversations per year, all right, in all different varieties and formats. So the point is he knows a little bit about what he's doing. He's worked with many industry experts, anchoring over $100 million in sales for the likes of Josh Turner, Justin Livingston, and Lisa Sasevich, and Bill Barron. So the thing is, he just knows what works and what doesn't work because of all of his expertise and background. And here's what I really love is that Jim's purpose is to help entrepreneurs scale their business with the power of collaboration so they can overcome their obstacles and impact the world the way they intended. And at Gain the Edge, Jim is known for instilling into his sales team, it's not what you say, it's who you are being when you say it. It's so critical. So I'm so grateful for what you teach, Jim. So tell us a little bit. I mean, the people that I'm introducing you to, many of them probably haven't heard of you, even as much as you've done. So tell us more about yourself and Gain the Edge and what kind of, got you into all this.
Sure. And it's interesting because it's not a surprise that a lot of people don't know about us because we've been more of the behind the scenes experts for several years, actually in our 6th year now in that space. And we're now coming from behind the stage and helping all these $1 million events and launches to coming to the front of the stage and realizing that, we've got some pretty good credibility and we know what we're doing. And we want to be able to help more than just the top tier performers in the industry. We want to help people get there. And basically, we have a very unique approach to sales, and it is primarily that is anti-selling. It is, everybody else out there, every sales trainer under the sun has some sort of process or system or script or blueprint where it's literally telling you where to go and what to say on some level. And I just don't buy into that. If that's what you need and that's what you want, fantastic. It works. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm just saying it's not required. Because you've been selling every day of your life for your whole life in every area of your life. You've sold your spouse on marrying you. You sold your kids on why they should eat their vegetables or do their homework. You sell your friends on why they should go to sushi instead of to Italian. We've been doing this stuff forever, and you've done it without funnels, without scripts, and without landing pages. But somehow when we get into the sales conversation, we turn into something and we try to be something that we're not. And that's what most of these scripts and processes are. They're trying to tell you how to do it. And quite honestly, you're the only one who's ideally designed to sell the way you should be selling. So we just want you to be able to do it the way you do in every other area of life. Do it in your sales conversations intentionally. And that's where we focus all of our time.
Yeah. I mean, just speaking to your dedication to your work, look, Jim's here. Those that see the video right now, he's sweaty. He's coming right off the stage, making time to be here with us today. So we're so grateful. Jim, you have a very powerful story. You can tell the quick version of it, but you have a very powerful story that led you into being into sales in the first place. Can you tell us just a little bit about that? Because you are a man of faith, I guess I would put it that way, right? Very
Yes,
important to
absolutely.
you. So I think that's important to our audience to know. So tell us just a little bit about your background as far as that goes.
Sure. Um, basically, my parents had me when they were teenagers. They were born, I was born to two teenage parents who met in an orphanage. So they had no guidance either. My dad took off immediately, and my mother, as a 16-year-old, responded with rage and fear and anger in a very, very challenging situation. So I had a very, very challenging, abusive environment that I grew up in. I was in foster care by 13, and I was on the streets at 16 and in jail by 19. And basically, you can imagine the kind of skill set that you gain when you're literally spending every waking minute trying to master your environment, to influence them your direction so that they won't see you as a threat and they won't want to hurt you. That was my survival mechanism. And little did I know that, 40 years later or 20 years later, excuse me, that I would be, I'd make millions of dollars teaching other people how to influence the environment around them so that people won't see you as a threat and will want to let down their guard and trust you so they can buy from you. That's really what the sales game is about. It's just about being the most powerful, authentic. I can't stand using that word because it's so overplayed, but nobody buys what you're selling before they buy you. And the most enrolling thing you'll ever do in your whole life is be yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's so massively important. It's something I've done as a skill set my whole life that I just did. And now we've basically taken all of that, decoded it, put it into a system and a process so that we can wrap our system around you so that you're not learning our way of selling. We're helping you more effectively actually do your way of selling.
Right, right. And so many people are even triggered by the word selling, especially in my audience. They're like, selling. They're like freaking out to me that you say so. So, but I mean, you're right. I mean, I always have said similar things that you say, these things you say around, listen, just being you is naturally enrolling. And I've said this for years, long before I ever did sales training. But I mean, I have been saying for years, we're all salespeople. We sell all day. So why are you making a big deal just because there's money on the table? You make a big deal of it, and then we make a big deal of money too. Like it's, like you're taking from people, and this whole idea of like it's bad. Like it's bad to take someone's money to do your work, which the spiritual people, that's I would say is one of their big objections is. Yes. Deep down inside, they don't feel spirituality and sales really go together. That we're supposed to be so pure and we're just supposed to help people and everything. So I would say like we need to almost get past that a little bit first for this audience, and they'll be able to even hear you more. Yeah.
It's understanding that sales is just the currency of effectiveness. You can't get much done without revenue. Unfortunately, that's just, it is what it is. That's how our economy is set up. So in order for you to really impact people the way that you truly not just want to, but most likely are called to, you have to have resources. Resources do nothing more than give you choice. It gives you options. If you don't have resources, your options are very limited on how you can help, change, serve people. So when you have more resources, you can choose how you want to show up in the world, who you want to help you, how you want to compensate them, how you want to serve, what areas do you want to speak in, et cetera. If you don't have that, then your footprint's really limited. And so you have to remove the aversion to feeling like you're taking advantage of people, and just understand that the only thing that people are going to pay you is in commensurate relationship to the value you've delivered. So right. The bigger problems you solve, the more they're likely going to be willing or able to pay you. Right. So it's just it's a healthy relationship to have with your resources. And don't call it money. I mean, back at, several hundred years ago, it was chickens and cows, right? So it wasn't money, but it was still a way to remunerate and exchange value for service.
Right, exactly. There's got to be an exchange, I mean, everybody, for prosperity to happen, there has to be a circulation, right? I mean, we can't just, we have things that we need to take care of, et cetera.
One of the things that I like to talk about is, one of the things that I like to talk about as it pertains to money is if you're concerned, if you're feeling guilty or challenged in any way around, around collecting money from people, then just figure out how do you give a greater value. That'll remove your guilt. If somebody pays you $10,000 for something, just give them $100,000 worth of value, and you won't have any guilt around the $10,000 they paid you.
Yeah, hey, absolutely. And most of the people I talk to that work with, they feel their work is priceless. It's just they have to remember, oh yeah, it's priceless. It's it can never pay me enough in a way for what I do. It's so valuable, right? So,
Yeah.
but that's great. And so for you personally, why do you feel sales outside of like just helping people to make more money and do their thing in the world? Is there a spiritual reason why you're so into sales? I'm curious because it's important, I think, to this audience.
Yeah, absolutely. From a spiritual perspective, this is the mechanism. This is the vehicle. You know, I noticed something that happens with business owners and entrepreneurs in general, especially the audience that you have, is, you know, we're very focused on purpose and serving people. And you might have somebody who's a massage therapist to a chronic pain healer, to somebody who does meditation or removes money blocks, or someone like me who is about sales. I bet at the end of the day, we're all teaching people or leading them to the same place. We're just getting them to a different path. I help people make sales but in order to do that, we help people become a very whole, optimized human being who's living into their best self. Because when you're at your best self, you help people rise above the challenges that they're in so they can see clearly and know where to go. From there, then everything's possible, right? And so in order to do that, we have to challenge and improve and help people get to a very clear place of focus, path, purpose, and outcome. And so you'd be amazed at how many similarities there are between all of us in the way we're teaching people. You might be doing it through money, through meditation. We're doing it through sales. At the end of the day, we're making people whole. We're restoring people to optimal, ideal humanity, which from there, the options are limitless, right? But that's what allows you to live into your purpose and your calling. And we're very connected with God. We actually we have a concept, we call them our moves to make more sales without getting better at selling. And one of our moves is prayer and visualization. I mean, it's literally a strategy we teach. So if you're not praying about your business, your path, your direction, the people who are coming to you, I think you are already selling yourself short, and you're probably not living into your purpose anyway, right? God needs to be center in your life, whoever you call God. You know, I roll with Jesus, and that's how it works in our world. But if you need to be at one with your purpose and your calling, which comes from inside, which is delivered, you know, in my world, comes from God and the Holy Spirit. And so you have to be able to be connected to that, because then from there, you'll now have a really strong guiding course, which is the number one reason why we don't get into scripts and paths. I cannot tell you what your purpose is. I can help you sell it incredibly and powerfully so that everybody knows who you are, why you're doing what you do, why they should buy from you, and what they should expect when they show up to talk to you in the first place.
Right, exactly. So that was, I'm so glad you shared all that, because that's really, it's this whole thing is it's when we try to take it out of spirituality, like, oh, sales is different. You know, like some people think I'm a healer, so I'm different than the plumber. I mean, we're all playing our own role, you know, it's just different needs, different aspects of life, but it's all one, it's all spiritual. So we just have to remember, I think that's huge for people to just remember.
Totally.
It's all about people helping each other, and you need to allow yourself to embrace being naturally enrolling, because you know you naturally want people to do, you naturally want the money, you naturally want the exchange. Just get over it, enjoy being you, and being, you know, having an amazing life. I mean, just enjoying being yourself, being naturally enrolling is so huge. It's something I had to really embrace, something I really struggle with. I was always very timid about sales, and then once I started getting assertive, that's when the success started happening. And people didn't even see me as that assertive. They were just like, hey, thanks for taking a stand for me. You know, like, this is the biggest thing. They didn't even think I was absolutely badass.
I'm so glad you said that, because that's exactly what it is. That's all you're doing. You're taking a powerful stand for people, but you're doing it to the point of a conclusion. That's what's missing with most spiritual entrepreneurs. We're great at the surface part. We show up with our heart all day long. We often leave our head behind. And when you can help people make a conclusion. I was at an event a couple of years ago, and I was speaking, and it was a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs. That's kind of that's the market we serve. And I had a woman who was kind of following me around for a couple of days, and then after on day 3, she goes, she stopped me in the hallway. She goes, "Do you want to know why I'm following you?" I said, "I'd actually love to." And she said, the whole time I was talking to her, she was kind of aloof and just her body couldn't stop moving. And she's like, "I'm very flowy." She's like, "I'm very spiritual. I feel like I'm a balloon that's floating in the wind, and you're a rock that just anchors me. So I'm just trying to get as much energy from you as I can because you keep me grounded. I just love the energy and the feel I get from you." And I love that because she put a visual to something I've been trying to explain for years. As a salesperson, I believe sales is synonymous with leadership. And as a leader, your job is to lead people effectively by being the person they will follow to make a great decision in their own best interest. And they need you to be that grounding force. Whether they're spiritually flowy or not, whatever the problem is that you solve, in that area, they're broken and they're flowy and they're missing, and they need your firm leadership. And it could come from love. It doesn't have to be, "Hey, buy this now." It has to be, I know. You have to come up with such certainty that I know what you need. I know how to help you get it. And this is the place you have to go. They're not looking for options. They're looking for direction and leadership. Say, "Let's go this way because I got you." That's what needs to be conveyed. And so that doesn't, a lot of times that can't just be done with, "Well, if the right thing for you, the universe will let you know." That's not a good way to go, because most people just don't make good enough decisions on their own. And because the decision-making muscle is one of the things that's been broken in our world. We are such creatures of habit and routine that we do the same thing the same way so many times, primarily so we don't have to make decisions. So when it comes down to it and something's on the line and we have to make a choice, we are really bad at it as humans.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. And we need someone to call us out. We do. We need people to call us out. So many people that have worked with me, like a huge percentage of people that work with me, it's not because I said, "Well, whatever you think, it's fine." It's because I called them out on what I was sensing was really a deeper truth, right, for them. And that helped them to say, "You're right, you're right, you're right." And we have to do that sometimes, absolutely, or they're not going to get it. That's why they need your help. Part of the help is you doing the sales so they can realize, okay, no, I need to change. This needs to change. I need to be committed to letting this happen in my life, etc. So we have to show up in a strong way. And then but there is a way to do these things. Again, it's not about being aggressive. It's just taking a stand for people. But it's definitely one of the things you talk about is people don't sell well because they're busy trying to please other people or trying to be liked. And I like to be liked. Honestly, it's something that I get caught in sometimes. So what advice do you have for people that get caught up in that? Like they get tripped up on just trying to be loved and nice.
I'll tell you what, Dan, this is probably gonna trigger some people, but be open to this. If you're trying to be liked, that is one of the biggest failures of most salespeople, because you have to be able to tell the truth. And the truth meaning, like, if you see that somebody is making a mistake that for a fact is going to cost them, and for a fact you're probably the one person who can help them. God put you on their path at this time. You're the one to be there for it. And you don't hold them accountable to making that decision today. You're lying to them, right? And the problem is, because we want to be liked, we won't tell them the whole truth, because being liked and telling the truth are at competing odds with each other. So if you're focused on being liked, you literally cannot tell them what they need to hear, because it will be in conflict with them liking you. You need to show up in full service, taking a powerful stand for them. Tell them the absolute truth as the expert of the problem that you are, so that say, "Look, I talk to hundreds of people a month, or I've served thousands of people," or whatever it is. And if you make this choice, you walk past that line and don't solve this problem and don't get it done with me right now, you are going over that cliff and it's going to be ugly. It's not about fear-based selling. It's about being truthful and sharing with people the facts of what is. And both ends, both letting them know clearly that they need to do it and being bold enough to say, look, nobody in the world can do for you what I can do. Right? And if you don't believe that, then I suggest you have to do some inner work and find out, because you have something that nobody else has. And you need to know that there are people praying for you right now. And because you're not being willing to show up and be totally truthful and claim the badassery that you own, or hold them supremely accountable to making this decision now because you know what's at stake for them, you are failing them and you are shortchanging your purpose and your calling on this planet. Right? And that's what we work on. That's what we teach all the time. That is the core of what we teach. We focus on that. You show up doing that, you will convert more sales.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's great. That's great. There's so many, questions here. There's questions pouring in. Do we want to just dive into some of those maybe? Because I'm concerned, like we got so many things. So one of the things.
Yeah, we can do a few questions.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that relates to what we were going to talk about anyway has to do with mindset. So I did get a mindset question. One person here asked, how do we prepare our mindset and energy prior to our one-to-one sales calls? So anything you have shared with that? I mean, or even the process leading into before they even get in front of you. I mean, but yeah, the whole process of the mindset and the energy piece.
Well, we have something, a concept we focus on called ESI. It's emotional sales intelligence. And a lot of that is just about being supremely aware. And you, again, aware of some simple truths. And it's hard sometimes to do this because we feel like by believing this truth, we're shortchanging somebody else. One is what we just talked about. People are bad at decision making. You have to understand that. You're not shortchanging them. You're allowing yourself to show up as the right person who can play the right role of helping them make a great decision, right? It's understanding, you have to have some serious perspectives in that the clarity and the reality that you might be the only person in their world who will tell them the truth about this problem. So if you don't tell them that, they may never hear it. Are you prepared to deal with that reality if you let somebody go and not do that? It's also understanding that you, as the expert of their problem, again, may be the only solution that can be provided. Don't ever take the assumption that, well, if they don't buy from me, they can buy from somebody else. That's generosity, quote unquote. I think it's also nonsense, right? God put you two on a path, on a course. They put you and me on a course to talk. There's meaning and purpose in this encounter. It is up to me to determine how much value and maximizing this opportunity for this purpose do I bring to the moment. That's all the mindset. That's me. I have a delusional quality about myself in that I truly believe that every room I show up in, I automatically make it better. And that may not be your reality. It's my reality. So when I show up, all of a sudden, everybody around me seems to take a good liking to me. They feed off me well, whatever. And that's just, that is the energy I bring to the room. That is the intention I bring to the room. That is what I believe. I refuse to allow myself to believe anything different.
Yes, amen, amen. Absolutely. That's great. And I know that with preparing your mindset, just going in with that mindset is so huge. And one of the things you've talked about too is reviewing, like this is more maybe a little more advanced, but like even reviewing like your sales calls, like getting permission for people to record them, reviewing them, listening back to them. I remember you telling us about that. So you can really see if you look back yourself. I even just review just thinking of back towards the call I just did. I'm like, okay, what did I do well? What did I do wrong? Sometimes even when they say yes, I'm like, okay, but what could I have done better? You know, because I feel it's like a sacred sales process. It's like, okay, how could you maximize the opportunity within the sales process? Because that can help create more results for your client as well. So I think it's so important for us to realize it's service in the sales. There's a transformation happening as they're saying yes to you for whatever it is that you're offering somebody. I think that's really vital and important. So some of it is just about remember the sales is service. People say that a lot, but it's really true. So anyway, so I'm going to share that. Now, let's see, we have a bunch of questions. The other one here, Jim, is transition So transitioning like your conversation into a close, like some people feel like they're in the, like some people do like the intro session that, you know, I don't know if you're a big
Yes.
fan of those, but they do an intro session and then they get like, okay, we're there. Now we're going to go into sales. And they, you know, they feel like it's a flip
Right.
into sales. So any quick guidance on that?
Yeah. Yeah. We teach something called a park bench approach to a sales conversation. And we're going to unpack that at our Make More Sales live event coming up next week.
Yeah.
And the whole concept is you should be able to sit down on a park bench with a random stranger and in 30 minutes know what they want, why they want it, what's in the way of them getting it, what are they willing to give up to have it, and when do they want to start? Because those are just natural conversation skills. And it's stuff you do all day. It's at the default, except for when you get into a sales conversation because you're too worried about an offer or collecting money and all of that. And we lose our minds. Here's the thing that I do. First of all, again, I'm not here to make you a sales professional or a sales guru, because first of all, it takes a lot of time, effort, and work to memorize a bunch of all the tactics and stuff. And you don't want to do it anyway. So why be that? What I'd rather you do is be the person who shows up as the person that people want to follow, the person who wins people over to their side of seeing things. I want you to see things the way I see them. So then from there, we can both pursue your solution together. And all I want you to do is give yourself permission to not be a sales guru as a starting point. So even when you get on a call with somebody, you say, look, I'm the best in the world at solving your pain or at healing your future or at setting you up with your finances. What I'm not great at is selling it. I get a little nervous in these conversations and I might stumble through this. So bear with me, okay? What do you think somebody says to you when you put something like that on the table, right? They go, oh, don't worry about it. You're doing great, right? Now, all of a sudden, you've got an ally. They're on your side to help you sell them effectively. It takes away the barrier. You're no longer adversaries, you're allies. You're no longer in this pressure-filled conversation because you've already made it clear. We're just moving in a direction together. Let's roll with it, right? And then when it comes to the offer, it's the same thing. What I would encourage in the offer is just ask them what they need to know next. Don't worry about having there's people who will teach you a stack approach, a rollout approach, there are so many different ways to lay out an offer from a tactical perspective. I don't want to teach all that stuff. When you get to the place where you feel like, yeah, that is possible. I can do this. I want that. I need to have that. And I'm tired of being where I am. Just ask them, what do you think we should do about that? What do you need to know next to figure out what your next steps are? And they'll go, well, how would I buy from you? Or do you know how to solve this? Or right? And then say, that's awesome. Here's how I would solve it. What do you think we should do next? And they'll go, well, how much do you charge to do that? How would I hire you? Well, here's what we do. And here's, just let them pull it out of you. It's so easy when you take the pressure off yourself of trying to have to pitch people.
Right. You let them naturally answer their own question. Yeah, absolutely. Like, yeah, it's more them leading the way that in a way by your questions, they are just naturally, going down the path that'll serve them best. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that's a wonderful way to do it. So here's a question. So we've got, as an entrepreneur within the consciousness community, I get feedback from clients that they're tired of old sales models, getting free gifts and being taken through a marketing funnel. People are sharing that they'd rather build true relationships and are seeking leaders who are setting a new standard of what sales looks like. What's your response to this feedback?
I 100% agree, which is why we do what we do. Again, our banner that flies over our company is make more sales without getting better at selling. I don't want to see more sales experts in the world. I want to see more people who are winning customers to their way of thinking, doing, or being. You need to focus on what is the message you need to put out there that helps people understand you're the expert. You know their problem better than they do. You care intimately about getting them to a better place, and you need them to show up and say, yes, I'm ready. Right? That's going to require you to step up and be bold about how you speak. Right? I do the same thing. My calendar is full every week of people who've been put there by others, and they show up wanting what we have. And essentially, I just have to shoot myself in the foot to screw up enrolling them into something. And all I do is I talk to them. I get them excited about what's possible. I get excited about chasing their dreams instead of chasing clients. I get them excited about what the new reality can be and how many people they can help and how the world can change as a result. And I get them crystal clear on the fact that if they don't make a choice today, they're only going to get worse than from where they are, because it's my job to share the truth. So I'm just having conversations about what I see and what I see from them. And that also, it means if they say, man, I'm sold out, I got to have that vision. I need to have that reality. And yeah, I don't know if I want to invest in it. Well, then guess what? You're not sold out. So let's have a conversation about your natural disagreement between what you say you're doing and what you're actually doing. Because I want you to be truthful and eyes wide open when we end this conversation. And I don't care which path you go. I just need you to be wide open when you're walking down that path. So that way it's not oh, I couldn't afford it. Because I can't afford it's not a real thing, guys. It's not a financial condition. It's a state of mind. What is true is I don't have enough desire to solve this problem to part with my money. That's a reality. Right. So you have to make sure when they walk away that that's what they're totally aware of. Like I had a conversation with somebody just a couple of days ago around this. And they were like, look, I don't know if I can spend it. I don't have that money. Okay, but we already know that 30 days from now, you're gonna be worse than you are now. And 60 days is gonna be worse than that. How about you go to your team? Has your team know that this problem exists? They're like, no. So, well, so you're lying to them and to yourself and you're putting them at risk without telling them. So why don't you let them know, here's the state of the business. We're in peril. We are very dangerously close to going out of business. If you guys work with me, I'm gonna pay you 70% of your wages for the next 2 months because I'm gonna use that money to invest in this program. And then we'll get whole. Now, they respect your openness, your honesty, the fact that you've brought them into the process. And this isn't a fact that you couldn't afford it. It was a matter of you not making choices to prioritize things differently, right? And once we did that, they're like, yeah, I could do that. And they asked for help about how to have that conversation. And then they did that, right? But this is all about you're not going to do that if you're worried about being offensive, if you're worried about being spiritual, right? You just need to be of service. You need to be wherever, you need to take the conversation wherever it needs to go. And a script can't get you there, but your instincts and your intuition and your confidence and certainty.
Right. Will. Yeah, that's what always has worked for me, Jim. That's whenever I'm in that state of this is happening, it happens, but we need support sometimes to get into that state. Sometimes we need a little support and how to handle things and get the green light and get structures that can support us as well to be able to do that. But there's nothing I've seen that sells better than people that are really confident and get in that state of certainty that you're referencing. The other question on that I know my audience is going to have, they're going to say, wait a minute, Jim's saying he's telling people they're going to fail and they're going to be horrible if they don't buy. And isn't that fear selling? I know you brought it up earlier, but I know there's some people kind of rattling in their brains or to bypass their intuition, their sense of their intuition anyway, right? Because we know that can be definitely off. Yeah. I'm going to call that one out. Right. But like they might be feeling like, because I don't know if I would even be bold enough to. I have often told people historically, listen, chances are your problem's going to get worse rather than better. I will go that far, and I wouldn't have guaranteed it will get worse. But in a spiritual sense, it always does get worse often because you're not waking up, you're not taking advantage of opportunities. I guess we got to give you more feedback, give you more problems until you frickin' do what you need to do. Sure. So could you answer more about that?
Well, totally. I'll tell you what, if you're worried about being salesy, then stop telling people the same way everybody else does, like what you just said. Well, you do realize that it's going to get worse if it doesn't get, if you don't do it differently, it's just going to get worse. That's what any salesperson would say. Now you sound like a salesperson. Mm-hmm. If you want to sound like the expert of the problem they solve, you tell them exactly how it's going to get worse because you know better. Look, I have worked with hundreds of people in this situation, and I know that the next step for you is this. I know that you're going to continue to chase more clients, get more frustrated. You're going to feel like you are no good at this, and it's going to make you less effective and less interested in doing it, which means you're going to lose more money. You're going to lose more opportunities, and then you're going to be more stressed. And if we talk 90 days from now, you're going to be in a worse situation. You're going to be stressed out. Your marriage is probably going to be on edge because you're not having open, honest conversations with your spouse, right? And you're not serving the people you want, so you're not happy. Is this the future that you want? This is not fear mongering. This is me being as honest as I possibly can.
Mm-hmm. Right. You're sharing what you sense is going to happen for them, at least, right? So, I mean, that
and partly what you said.
What happens for people after, working with so many people, I know what typically always happens every single time. So that's, I can hear you from that perspective. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's the same thing as a mechanic. If you go to the mechanic and they say, well, It's going to be $3,000 to, I'm not a car guy, so I'm making stuff up. It can be $3,000 if we were to replace your transmission. Or for $500, we'll give you a tune-up on it. But it could break at any time. And if it does, it's going to cost you 10 grand total because we're going to do damage. He's going to tell you because he already knows this is only going to last for 90 days. And then this is going to happen. It's going to create damage here. When that breaks, it's going to break this part. And you're going to have a $10,000 overhaul and your car's only worth $7,000. You're going to be in a bad spot. I recommend you replace the transmission now. Right? But that's because he already knows what's going to happen because he's done this 100 times a month for the last 10 years. And he would be out of integrity if he didn't tell you that. So why is it different for him than for you?
Right. Good point. Good point. I mean, looking under the hood here, it looks like we got a lot of problems. It's just getting hard. I'm not going to tell you because I want to be a nice guy. I was happy and nice. Your car's going to stall out in the middle of the highway. You're going to be SOL, right? So that's a good point. I love you bringing the truth to us that way. Okay, so a couple more questions here, Lee. So how can we? This person's having a hard time landing with a higher level offer. So she asked, how can I highlight my offers best? The way she puts it is so that others can actually afford it. So how do I line up with the ones with this mindset of like, how can I find the ones that can afford it almost is what it sounds like. But like, how do I highlight them or do the marketing or set things up so that I don't run into everybody saying I can't afford it?
Yeah, great question. And there's a number of things that we focus on and what some of the things we'll be teaching again at our Make More Sales live event next week. One of our moves to make more sales without getting better at selling is to deliver the kind of results that people rave about. When you deliver extreme powerful results and you can measure them for people and you can inspire people on that level and you give people a clear path on how they can share that with others, they'll do it. Right? So you got to focus on delivering powerful results for the people that you serve now and being able to quantify them so that you can speak to them. Because people just need to hear it and see it. Again, they need to see you saying, yes, this is what's possible. The reason this is a 9,000 or a 90,000, okay, whatever you're charging. We have products, we have clients that pay us over $100,000 a year. We also have people pay us $297 a month. Depends on the problem they're trying to solve as to what they're investing in around that. You need to make sure that what is crystal clear is that whatever they put in, we call it a black box perspective. If I put $10,000 in the black box, I get out $100,000 worth of results. If you can connect those dots, that is my job as the buyer to determine, is that what I want to do and I'm willing to do and am able to do? It's not your job to try to assess what people can afford or should be able to invest. Matter of fact, I would dare say that's pretty offensive of you to even put that label on somebody. It's not my job to say, you know what, Dan, I don't think you can afford me. It's my job to present the greatest opportunity available to you and let you go, dang, you know what? That's worth me selling something to buy. That's worth me figuring out what I got to do. That's worth me cutting off cable, taking my TV off the wall, selling it at the local Safeway, taking the Nova family vacations this year. We're going to buckle down and eat rice and beans because that's a life-changing opportunity and we're going to make it happen, right? Your job is to present the opportunity. It's their job to figure out if they can make it happen.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely the point of, well, I see people hesitate to contact people saying, oh, they won't be able to afford it, so I'm not going to talk to them. But you don't really always know. I mean, you don't really know all the time. So just to say, oh, they can't afford it. But people say, well, how do I get to more people that have the money to afford what I do? I say, bad question. Look for the people that actually want and need, your service. And, that's much more important than how much money somebody has.
Correct.
That's a secondary thing. Very, very secondary.
Exactly. What the people don't know, let's put it this way. Nobody has money, but everybody's got access to money. So that's, it's interesting. I had a billionaire friend of mine at a mastermind, with a Genius Network mastermind as a part of 𝙤𝙤𝙩𝙞𝙨. I don't know, you may have heard of him, but this guy is just a legendary billionaire investor and entrepreneur. And we're talking at dinner one time, and we were talking about the whole perspective of how do we do a better job of, when we lead the horse to the water, how do we get them to drink it more easily? And he said, no, 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 you got this wrong, Jim. He said, you don't try to lead people to the water. Your job is to make people so thirsty that they will find their own water. And I was like, oh my God, light bulb, right? And that's a whole different perspective, because you can sit there and go, well, how many ways can we figure out what kind of resources do you have to invest in 10,000? That's not my job. You know what my job is? My job is to show you $100,000 solution. My job is to get you crystal clear to the inevitable, the unsufferable amount of pain that you're actually in or on the way to become stepping into. And then it is your job to move heaven and earth to find a $10,000 investment to be able to get that $100,000 solution. And I'm just using those numbers as round numbers, but for easy math. That your job is just to make them thirsty. If they're questioning, well, you know, I need to think about it. The first thing you need to ask is, where did I miss? Who was I not being? Or who was I being that led them to believe that the value here is not great enough that they still need to think about it? That's 100% on us. You have to be able to say, this is on me. Somebody says I can't afford it. Immediate question, who was I being that led them to believe they can't afford this or shouldn't be investing in it? There's nothing to do with what they can't afford, because you don't know who they have access to. They might have, you know, everybody who says, oh, I don't have anybody I can borrow from. They're not saying they have nobody they can borrow from. What they're saying is they don't have a reason big enough to put themselves in a place where they might be embarrassed enough to go borrow money. Right. So your job is to put this as a priority in their life. Help them see where this ranks as a priority. Then it's up to them to say, you know what, that's so important to me. I'm going to go to my grandma and ask if she'll invest in me in this. It's not your job to help them find anything. It's your job to be sold out to their cause. And the more you believe in them and their cause, and you see the clear path towards helping them get it, they will get on board your train.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think this whole thing, I could just see trigger alerts for my audience with one thing you said, like, oh, that's so awesome. And he was like, get them so thirsty, they'll do it. Like, and then it sounds like to the audiences, they're going to be, some of them are going to think, oh, you're creating this false sense of thirst and all this manipulative stuff. But it's not that. It's awakening people to their genuine thirst they have, that they're numb. They're numb to. The resistance is hiding the real from them. Is what you're talking about, because
absolutely
people say, "Oh, I want to be enlightened. I want to be whatever. You know, I want to wake up. I want to be enlightened," but they're doing everything not to be enlightened every single day. So, so it's like, okay, your thirst or your desire is not been awoken enough, apparently. All right, you want to keep doing this thing. You want, like in our terms, we'd say, like, you know, from our way of looking at things, you want to come back 1,000 more lifetimes and deal with this crap you're dealing with now? It's only going to get worse. You better quite get lightened down. So, I mean, so I wanted to clarify that, because otherwise some people think like we're just trying to manipulate them into it. But it's really awakening the actual thirst that people have, that they're numbing out because they're afraid to shift. They're not willing to be bold enough to allow that shift in their life. Even though it'd be for the better, because of the sense of loss they might have with it, right? That I'm going to lose something.
Right. And, you know, I want to touch on that too, because this conversation comes up a lot. Yeah. And, you know, if the easiest example to always use is, you know, I got a 2-year-old grandson right now. So if he goes running towards the street and a car's coming, and I know you're probably already rolling your eyes going, oh, okay, I know this.
No, I'm not.
But if he goes running to the street with a car coming, I don't have many alternatives. What if I have to grab him to a point where it hurts him? Maybe it pulls his shoulder out of a socket or hurts his wrist or something. And the alternative is let him go in the street, and we all know where that goes.
Right.
So you could have, there's a hierarchy of values here. You could have a value that says, I would never harm a child. Now what are you going to do? I will never harm a child. So I will never manipulate somebody. I will never whatever.
Right.
If I would never harm a child, then that means I'm directly going to not harm the child so that I can indirectly kill him. Right. Same thing with this. I have a standard that I will never falsely motivate somebody, because I would rather they suffer in pain forever. So what if you have to take 10 minutes to shape a reality for somebody? Like we use the word manipulate. It's just a word.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not into manipulating. I like to show people the truth. However, please understand that the word manipulate only means what you think it means, right? If you have shoelaces on your shoes, how do you tie them without manipulating them? So don't tell me you don't ever manipulate anything, right? You're
Tie them
just
without
shaping stuff so
manipulating
it
them.
feels good for you,
That's a good
right?
one, Jim. That's a good one. That's one everybody could understand easily.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's just letting you have to just get we have to remove ourselves from the high horse and keep the bigger picture in mind all the time. All the time. If I have to hurt your arm right now so that I can keep you on this planet for another 20 years, 50 years, 80 years, I'm going to do it. If I have to shock your system by saying something that seems so sensational or so crazy, but it's going to be the first statement that's going to allow you to actually open your eyes and open your ears and dive in so we can real talk, then I'm willing to do it because I have your greater good and a bigger picture in mind. Again, I'm not here to get you to like me. I'm here to get you to take some actions that will change your life forever.
Yeah, yeah. We had some more questions, I think, but I can't find them now. So, but anyway, everybody, if you have more questions, then I definitely, I mean, sincerely, I've done training with Jim myself. So I've actually been, you know, somebody that's partaken. So I want you to go ahead and check out his training at this point. And Jim, uh, yeah, so I put the link into the comments on Facebook. And yeah, anything else you want to share about your event? Tell us about your event.
Yeah. First of all, any questions that we didn't get to, if please post them in the group. I'll please tag me. I'm in
Okay.
the group. I will go in there and answer them for you. I promise. If you have questions that come up while you're watching this or later. But our event coming up is called Make More Sales Live. We essentially have been known as the outsourced sales solution. You know, and we've been extremely blessed in our business to work with some of the who's who in the coaching and personal development space. And we wanted to make sure that we could help other people who are trying to ascend to bigger levels. And so this event is really taking everything that we've done to generate over $250 million of sales for our outsourced clients and teach these same concepts to you. Simple. Again, we don't hammer out sales tactics, hardcore strategies, none of that. 100% of our focus is on how do we optimize you to show up as the best version of you every single time. And our Make More Sales live event is literally 3 days immersion with me and my team. And the whole objective is to help us put our systems around you. So you're going to walk away with your own Make More Sales playbook. And it's full of moves that will help you show up differently, position better, we call it a truth serum, actually a truth-telling formula that will help you tell truth better, ask more questions that will illuminate truth more easily. And again, you know, not just prayer in sales conversation, but what do you pray about? Why do you pray? When do you pray? What do you know? Just all of this, none of this is rocket science, and I didn't invent any of it. It's just we just put it into a system that helps support you and serve you powerfully, so that you show up and have the right conversations with the right person at the right time about the right things, which will always lead to the perfect solution. It doesn't mean they'll always buy from you. It means that they'll always be crystal clear on what direction they go and why. Right. So for $97, oh, actually, yeah, 97, 147 and 247, $147 ticket price, 247 for VIP, and 3 days of your time. We will change the way you sell forever so that you can stop chasing clients and start chasing your dreams, start being cash flow positive, start being of maximum service to the people who you serve, and start drawing the right people to begin with to make those changes. But I got a bonus for you because we actually just, the early bird special just went off. So if you want to be able to get the tickets for 97 or our VIP ticket for 197, then just type in the code, or, type in the chat, and we'll give you the code so that you can drop that down. So it said 247 for VIP on the sales page. You'll be able to get it for 197 if you take advantage of that from watching this video.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. And a couple of things I want to add in as bonuses today, and we'll share these later as well, is one bonus I want to offer is that I will tune into your energy to see if I see there's some issues going on with you with resistance to sales, going on for you. So I'll offer you a 30-minute money magic session to tune in your energy and see what is not aligning to allow you to say yes to your sales and in your business. So I'll do that. And then the other thing I'm going to offer is, I'm also going to offer, because I'm so confident, I've never done this before, Jim. I am so confident people will be so satisfied by your training, and they'll gain such value from your training, that if they don't find that it was worth what they invested financially, I'm willing to back that up. I'm willing to back that up. I'll send you the money back. I mean, that's how strongly I feel about it. That's how strongly I feel about it, Jim. I know that they're going to be thrilled with it. You got to get on sales. Sales is like kind of the big thing. Jim knows this about me. I'm big on sales because it's one of the things I've suffered with the most, and I had to learn, the most. So you can't just keep trying to run around this thing. You need to take care of this. Or like Jim says, it's only, in a way it does. It just keeps getting worse. You just losing more and more opportunities. You have more and more regret. And people go back, they get jobs, they do other things with their lives, and they sell out. I mean, so we don't want to do that. You have such brilliance. You have so many gifts to share. And I know Jim will help you, he has contributed to my life with what he shared with me as well. There's so many things I remember you sharing with me that I continue to remember and to hopefully implement. I know I'm not perfect, but I implement some of those things. So any last things you'd like to share, Jim, for today?
Well, first of all, I'm humbled by that. You're putting your own money where my mouth is. I'm very honored by that. I'm very honored by that.
Yes.
And I thank you so much. And I hope that carries some weight with all of you watching. Guys, we're here to help you. That's it. There's nothing more. We don't win if you don't win. And I win when this world is fully charged with entrepreneurs and people who are servants, who are out there doing the work, into your purpose and calling. Because if you're doing everything at top level, you're going to be helping all those people, making this world a better place for my grandsons. Now I got a legacy to be worried about, and I need you fully turned on, fully turned up, and helping everybody you can. And you'll never be able to do that if you can't control your environment by mastering the sales game and doing it in a way that serves you and serves others. So I look forward to seeing you at the Make More Sales live event. You'll get an ROI in the first 10 minutes. But I'm so honored and humbled by Daniel's offer to back up that statement. That should speak for itself. Find out, do what you got to do, sell something, show up, and be part of this event. I'd love to serve you.
Yeah. I mean, the price point is where I think most of the people is going to be able to jump on that right away if it's really something they're willing to get in, dive into and get into, and are really serious. So October 22nd to the 24th, the link is in the comments on the Facebook. If you're hearing this after the time it's happening, yes. Where can people go to learn more about you or take advantage of what you do?
Yeah, there's also, we're going to give you another gift. It's called our Leads Made Easy training. And that link will be in this chat as well. And it'll be in the show notes on the podcast. I'll give that to Daniel. Fantastic training, one of our highest sought after offerings, and it'll get you just some really good insight on how to get in front of the right people so you can have those right conversations.
Perfect. We look forward to that then. And so Jim, I mean, I'm just so grateful you took the time to do this today. Well, you're coming right off the stage, and everything.
Yeah. And that stage right there, for those who can see this, hopefully you can see it, but I'm in the studio. We're at a studio. And we're going to be broadcasting from this very same place next week for our event. We have a client who's running an event right now, so I'm emceeing that and we're rolling there. So it's going to be good times. You guys will love it.
Yes. So anyway, so I'm so grateful again to have had you here, and everybody's, the people I see here that are commenting. I see from Jen Russman, but especially is really sharing a lot about how stoked she is about everything. So Jim,
awesome.
thanks so much again for being here today. And as I always tell people on the podcast, you keep on tuning in here. We'll keep on rocking it here on.
You're listening to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Okay. Stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Wednesday and Saturday. Bye. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.